I've got a couple of pretty interesting concepts to discuss today. And essentially, we are going to talk about a concept that can revolutionize how we think of maritime competence, how we think of keeping our vessels prepared for SARV inspections, port state inspections, and so on and so forth. But before I do that, I want to emphasize one thing, that as a company, we believe very firmly that any maritime innovation starts with a deep empathy for the seafarer. As they say, people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care, right? So, what does that empathy really look like? Well, I was a chief officer back in 2008 on an oil tanker, and I was preparing the ship for a vetting inspection. I had a checklist in my hand, and I remember standing in front of this mooring winch, and there was this one element in the checklist I was really not very sure about. There was only one way to know this, and that was that, clarify the doubt, so I had to ask the captain to come down and explain it to me. But the problem was that the captain had called me a couple of days back and explained to me that you are a chief officer, I'm not here to teach you, you don't know your job, you're going to go home. Okay? So standing there that day, I felt this extreme resistance in going up to the master and asking this question. So essentially what I ended up doing is ticking off that checkbox without really understanding my job. Okay? I've learned later that this is something that could have led to an accident, and it's for sure something that would have come up as a deficiency in a post-state inspection. So was I a really, really dumb chief officer? Is this an exception? I want you to understand that experienced people, smart people, people well-intentioned in their jobs, sailing for companies that take a lot of pride in their competency level still have their doubts. Doubts that can lead to mistakes, mistakes that can lead to accidents. And on a ship, if you have such a doubt, when mentorship is not happening, whether due to language barriers, cultural problems, interpersonal issues like I was having, or due to the fact that the seniors sometimes do not really know what the right procedure is, whatever the reason, if mentorship is not happening on board, there is not a lot of reference points people can look up to. And people are looking into YouTube, some of them texting their friends, asking for unregulated information that again could lead to mistakes and accidents. So we wanted to do something about it. And what we wanted to do boiled down to one word: simplify. We wanted to simplify procedures, operations, checklists, whatever we have on board to essentially learn our jobs. And in that effort, about 4.5 years back, we started visualizing everything. We started visualizing checklists and instructions, getting the people to see exactly what is needed. We started getting noticed almost immediately. We got noticed by people of authority, people like Captain Pradeep Chawla is here, Mr. Ral Harris. We really got noticed by people of authority. And then companies were using our content almost from year one to upgrade their vessels for port state inspections and SAR inspections. Now, our expertise over the last 4 years, we have been working with HSEQ departments of several companies, upgrading the vessels organically to a level where they start performing better. And I'm very happy to say that we have today more than 400 content titles that are scaled across various platforms, content titles that have come from years of research, and something that are being used on literally hundreds of vessels, both tankers and non-tankers. That's our work till date, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Today, we are going to crank it up a notch. Ready? What we are going to do is present to you not one, but two smart, direct, and sharp solutions that can transform learning to performance. When I say that, one of them is a comprehensive inspection management system for the shore to track, not just to track their vessels, to essentially upgrade the vessels to a level where they start doing better performance-wise. So a comprehensive inspection management system and a 24/7 digital trainer for the ship staff that tell them exactly what to do at its core without much bloat, just exactly what you need to do. Now, so a comprehensive inspection management system, a 24/7 digital trainer. Turns out that these are not two separate solutions. They come in the form of an app called Guide to Inspections. This is an Android and iOS native app that is essentially an inspection management system coupled with a 24/7 mentor that sits on board. Now, I realized I had introduced Guide to Inspections about a year back on this very platform. And for anybody who knows about this app already, let me tell you that over the last 1 year, I'll discuss that in detail, that how we have pushed it over the top and literally created this platform in a way that it is at least 5 years ahead of any other solution that exists in this category. Now, let me explain how it works first. Simple enough. You click on it. The ship opens up in front of you like a grid divided into sections like bridge, engine room, LSFFA, and so on. Each section gives you a set of questions to check. Questions that are benchmarked against SIRE 2 requirements, right ship requirements. And you could take your app, and remember on a tanker, obviously you have to use an intrinsically safe mobile phone. You could confirm on these checks, click your own photograph, add your own comment. Whenever you're done, you can click on report generation. The report comes up as a PDF. And then you can send it, or if you have online connection, it can sync back to the shore side. The admin panel gets a feedback of all your reports, comes in, and then you can data mine, you can trend your observations, you can essentially understand how the vessels have been performing. That's how the inspection management system works. Well, there are advanced capabilities, which I'm not going to the details, like using of AI into it and other things. Now, that's the inspection management system side. The other side is, on the ship, it's not just a checklist. It's a 24/7 mentor for the seafarer. So for the seafarers, each and every question is guided by relevant photographs, micro-learning videos, and essentially getting them down to the details of exactly what has to be done. There are more than 72 micro-learning videos inside. They're gamified, scenario-based situational games where we can explain how to face interview scenarios, more than 2,500 photographs within the app to guide the ship staff. And the admin panel in the office gets a central control to have, push their own information and their own whatever has to be instructed to the ship. Now, what are the benefits? If you are a vessel operator, or if you have any interest in vessel operations, this is like putting a 24/7 digital trainer on board. It is scalable across the fleet. It definitely prepares your vessels for SIRE 2.0 standards, right ships, AMSA, US Coast Guard, post-state inspections. Let me tell you, our work on SIRE 2 alone is more than 2 years. We have sat down with ex-SIRE inspectors, right ship inspectors, and ripped apart that 1,300-page document of SIRE 2, question by question, page by page. It's a very, very detailed guide. It's nowhere like a basic guidance or something. It's way advanced than that. You can customize. The admin has the ability to customize the questions, even customize the report formats, and simply use this app as a conduit to impart your instructions onto the vessels and get a feedback from there. And if you're carrying out a remote inspections, it's like a breeze. So you simply have to send a one-liner message, carry out an inspection of the emergency generator room, and the vessel staff has to go on site, take evidence photographs, and send you back. That's it. If you're an inspector or a superintendent going on board for inspections, instant installation, you can install and start using it. You're saving that entire time that you would have spent on report generations. You can carry out pre-vetting inspections, pre-PSC condition assessments, and so on. You can customize it to your specific requirements, and the zone distribution of the app saves you time. Now, if you're a seafarer, and this is very close to my heart, if you're a seafarer, first of all, it's a zero learning curve app. I remember we asked an oiler in one of the ships where we were trying this out to go inspect the bottom platform of the engine room. And the oiler used the guidance of this app, and he went down to inspect, and he came up after about an hour and told us that he could understand about 85% of what was there. Now, remember, this is not the level of inspection of an oiler, not the level of inspection of a junior engineer or even a chief engineer. This is a level of inspection which would be done by somebody extremely senior who's done literally hundreds of ships. Now, if an oiler can get 85% of that, imagine what a senior engineer could get. It easily goes up to 90-95% of the exact understanding of what has to be done. So it's like a mentor on board that never sleeps. And if I would have had something like this when I was having the doubt with my master, I could have picked it up and learned my job from there. It helps vessels prepare for inspection, saves time. It can be used for guidance during toolbox meetings, group trainings. It has behavioral guides inside. And if you're carrying out a remote inspections, it is simply canceling out all your clerical jobs. In case you're wondering that this is an added burden to the seafarer, let me tell you, there are seafarers today that are paying for this app. We have paid subscribers of this app that are seafarers, so that is the level of incentivization. No incentivization from the company. They are literally paying for it themselves. So what are the 4 key differentiators? Why did I say this is at least 5 years ahead of its time? Now, impeccable accuracy. Senior subject matter experts, inspectors, auditors, professionals that have worked for years, 2.5 years it took us just to curate the database behind it. When we are instructing a vessel to compliance, it can get very, very detailed and very granular. So our research, we have studied over 100,000 observations, responses from various inspections, and trying to identifying the blind spots. What are the people missing out on? What are people with qualification, with checklists and procedures, what are they really, really missing out on? So to find out that, so we have taken enough, more than 100 years of experience and worked for years on that. Adaptable technology, we are using .NET Core, which is the cutting edge of technology. Seamless experience, AI and machine learning, integratable, and 24/7 tech support from a fantastic tech team. And by the way, the app goes completely offline and it wouldn't even let you know. It doesn't matter, you do not have to be online to use this app. Complete customizability. You can put your own checklists, your own procedures, even report formats from the company and use those. So essentially, you could go paperless with this app. So you could put all your procedures and checklists in this app, use this as a conduit to pass it on to the ship staff, and the ship staff could complete them and send you back through the admin panel. And last but not the least, I must stress this simplicity. So in the next 5 minutes, you could install it and start your inspections, or you could start your training, whichever the case may be. So the seamless experience of being very simple, a simple admin panel, a zero learning curve app, all the way we have tested it from the lowest of ranks and all the way up to the senior inspectors and auditors. Nobody ever had to be explained how it works. So what is this all about? Why does, whatever I said, why does it even matter? What is NavGuide Solutions trying to do? Is it about an app? Is it about inspections? We are trying to take compliance up to the level of competence. And I think 20 years down the line, I hope people will look back at our generation and say that, wow, they were using text. They were sending circulars and checklists in this age when they had the capability of visualizing. That's something. So I feel things should be visualized, simplified, and that's what we have been working behind. Senior officers constantly tell us that it saves them time and improves their efficiency. Juniors say that it helps them jump onto their jobs. No bloat, not much of theory. Tell them what to do, exactly how it should be done. That's the power of this. Think of it like a conduit to instruct the ship staff in a different manner. And think about this. What would it mean for this industry if we can bring up the vision of a third officer or third engineer or a chief officer to the level of a senior-most inspector? Is that interesting? I mean, would that mean something for this industry? Here's a brief
this is Second Officer Nikhil
description
from a container liner, and recently I came across Guide to Inspection application, which helped me a lot to prepare for different audits, as it has a very thorough research done on it. It has procedures for...
Skip that for the sake of time. Very happy to say that we are supported by a very strong global advisory board. People like Captain Phil Davies, Captain Sam Megwa, both of them were ex-directors of OCIMF. Captain Sam, in fact, was at the heart of SIRE 2.0 when it was being created. Mr. John Adams, everybody knows John, ex-managing director of TK, ex-managing director of V Group, chairman of the Bahama Ship Owners Association. Captain Ashok Mahapatra, ex-director of IMO, Captain Eve Vandenborn, is part of our advisory board, and these people have seen the industry from various levels and various angles. So what are we really excited about? Let me tell you the effect of what we do. There was a ship that we were working on. We were working with a company that had a ship in Rotterdam in 2021, and we knew that the ship was expecting a post-trade inspection. Now, we had asked the master to confirm, and the master said everything was fine. Now, the ship was following a simplified process which we had implemented, where you divide the ship into several sections and go very deep into checking the compliance. Now, the third officer, who was 23 years old, found out that there was a crack in the point of the rescue boat where you tighten the lashings. Now, this is a very common area to have a crack. Well, a couple of days later, the post-trade inspectors came, but there was nothing to explain. We had workshops on board. We had repairs going on. So we essentially saved a detention, and for a ship that is earning $80,000 a day, a detention is pretty serious. But beyond that, we could prove that we had established a culture of compliance. So I want to leave you with that one last thought, that if we can inculcate a culture where our junior officers and our junior engineers not only do they know what to see and how to perform, but they feel empowered enough to come up and say that, speak up. That means that we will have created splendid foot soldiers of every man and woman that steps on board, and that leads to a safer industry, a safer ship, and inspection results are a consequence of that. This is the QR code for anybody with an Android phone. By a show of hands, how many here are using Android phones? So you can pull it up. I'm always available in the hallway to give you a demonstration of the app, but you can always scan it, or you can go to Play Store and check it out. Thank you.
Very interesting.
Thank you so much.
And kind of cool. Okay.
That's a nice word.
Everyone that has walked outside has probably seen assess, train, and retain. And then, we're talking about maritime trainer. So, welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure, really, to be here again after 1 year. Let me introduce my company first. We call ourselves a digital human capital management company that we serve globally to the maritime industry. We are recognized by Bureau Veritas as Maritime Training Institute and Simulator Center. And through our expertise in maritime and technology, we help shipping companies to assess, train, and retain their crew. I would like to start with a question that I use in my lectures. How many of you will invest in shipping? Maybe buy a ship, become a ship owner, if you have 100 million in your pocket, cash? Can I see the hands? Come on. Even from the seafarers, I get more answers. Okay, when I ask why, they say it's too much risky. I go and buy a real estate, why I go that risky industry. And then the second question comes, what do you need to do if you want to manage these risks as a ship owner? And the question comes, and the answer mainly is, invest in human capital. Well, when we review the maritime industry, in the past it was too much reactive, right? The accidents happen and the actions taken. But now what we see, it's much more proactive. After TMSA came into force in the tanker industry, it was voluntary, but now it became a ticket to trade. It's not only TMSA now, we're talking about right ship requirements. CIRA 2.0 is coming as a nightmare, and then rescue and other requirements. Digitalization, decarbonization, these all makes a great skill gap now that the ship owners need to manage. And let's look closer to the problems, the challenges, and what we can propose on that. Decarbonization. Now, the vessels started to use that kind of new fuels, but there are no regulations, no standards for training. So companies are trying to solve and find their own solutions. And this is really a great risk. What we see lately, the manpower is shifting to the undeveloped countries. This also increases the skill gaps. But when we are talking about the new generation, also the way they think and behave, learn, completely changed. So we also need to change our mindset in order to attract them and retain them. So the companies needs to do a lot to create a culture that people love to work for. You need to give them an employee value proposition, and you need to increase engagement, recognition, awards, and really put some efforts on talent management. Digitalization is on the way, and some officers are really afraid to lose their jobs when the autonomous vessels and this AI is under consideration. I'm not thinking that it is too close for the global shipping companies, vessels working globally. We need people, maybe less, but much more qualified. And you will see the root causes of the excellence will remain the same, right? Again, people. So we need to help them with the help of digitalization, take the human in the center of this human and a hybrid digitalization model, and ease their job by having data-driven decisions. Instructional design is another thing that we need to focus really. Our training designers are working on that a lot. New generation, as I mentioned, learns very differently and behaves differently. So you need to take the learner in the center of the learning process in order to achieve learning. I'm not talking about training. It's learning now. So the way you prepare your training, using engagement, gamification, interactive training tools, interactive assessments, even the form filling after reading a report, you need to do your utmost to make it as valuable as possible. The platform also that you're using, it should be giving you an end-to-end solution. It will comprehend everything that you need, every tool that you need. It should be lean, that you can understand and implement easily. It should continuously be developed and up-to-date, and can be integrated with the other ERP providers. Also, it should provide you some data, so you should use the Power BI and these business intelligence tools to give insights about what's going on. Customer success is another issue that, as digital learning providers, we need to focus on. We should be proactive, following the regulations and upcoming requirements, and act immediately. We should provide solutions above industry requirements. Responsive, we should help companies during the onboarding process for the implementation. We should innovate and let companies use this innovation. So it's an end-to-end solution that we provide at the moment. We're helping you to assess, train, and retain your crew. We are enablers, we are facilitators, we are innovators. Let me show some samples of what we have done. This is our platform, very easy to use, very easy to understand. We can integrate with your ERP platform. We can have a lot of data. We can customize it according to your requirements and embed your training, specific training into this platform. And this is our job application. We also saw some bottlenecks, and we have provided some solutions for the companies. This is one of them. Through this platform, you can have the applications directly. The crew apply directly over this platform. They just select the vessel type and the position they are applied for. The assessments are enrolled automatically. They are also controlled by a proctoring system online, and you can define some criteria and scores according to the application. So finally, you will be having a score. You will filtering the unqualified seafarers, and you will not be wasting your time by interviewing the unqualified seafarers. We also developed a proctoring system. This proctoring system enables you to increase the reliability of the assessments you're doing. You know, there are lots of cheating online. So we use vision analytics for that. During the assessment, you need to upload a ID card with photo. We make a face recognition. And then during the assessment, we are following the pupils, head movements, and any other face in the screen. So the reliability of the assessment is given automatically. So there are lots of types of assessments that we use to measure personality, aptitude, competency assessment, even maritime English and pronunciation. There are some SMCP phrases that we use. You need to pronounce it, and the system automatically records and evaluates it. And also, you're having a comprehensive report after the end of these assessments that you can also have insights about the crew. You can compare it and benchmark with the rank-based and fleet-based crew. Onboarding and orientation is also very much important. We're not just giving a generic system to the companies. We're taking information from them. We're preparing a custom orientation training to transfer the culture of the company to the seafarers. This is very important. We are also taking your SMS, creating a responsibility matrix, preparing 400 to 500 questions, and every officer and shore crew needs to go a comprehensive SMS training module without any time limitation. They see the questions, they go the SMS, they answer the questions. It's a great way to give an orientation to your crew and taken a lot of best practices. We also prepare a pre-joining training, including all the necessary items to go on board, life on board, hygiene on board, any reporting systems, and we can customize it according to your company requirements. Yeah, e-learning courses. These are not courses converted from PowerPoint presentations or PDF courses. Our training designers are working a lot to take this learner in the center of the learning process. We add gamification, case studies, real-life stories, assessments, reports. We really work on that very hard. And the outcome is really wonderful. And at the end, they will be awarded with the certificate. Also, we have the square code, so any auditor and inspector can directly have verification over our platform. We are also using the Shell's partner in safety materials for the reflective learning and resilience, but we are not only using the calendars or the photos or the PDF. We converted all of them into problem-based learning scenarios. It's very easy to facilitate a session, showing them a real case, stopping it, and asking questions. So they can link their experiences with the topic and start speaking easily. For the resilience, we also use some ice-breaking games to make and ease the facilitation. We also generated and developed a lot of soft skill courses in order to support the continuous professional development of seafarers and your shore crew. These are all engaging and interactive trainings. One of the hot topics, TMSA, SIRE, Dry BMS, Rescue, we have a wide range of library that we have prepared to meet all these requirements. You can directly go over our webpage and see our matrix, how we meet these requirements. We have some additional supplementary courses in 3D animation format with a lecturer. Now here you can see how a profiler is working in details. We can create 3D animation, especially over the accidents that you have experienced. We can show the root causes of the accident, ask questions to trigger discussion during the classroom trainings, especially group trainings. VR-based immersive training, serious games for critical operations. Also, occupational health and safety trainings on the Unreal environment. We have various kinds of games that we have developed, and we can also develop new games on demand. I need to open a separate parenthesis here. The cloud simulation is one of my dreams. While I was lecturing, I was giving trainings over liquid cargo handling simulator. And this was my dream. I shared this dream with Transas, now Wärtsilä, many times for many years. And finally, it's real. By the help of the agreement that we have done with Wärtsilä, also we can provide our clients the self-learning scenarios, which means that anybody can go learn how an inert gas generation is done through a tutorial over the simulator, and then you can assess him by self-learning, without any instructor, without sending this guy to the training center. It really reduces the cost, expand the knowledge, and also reduces your carbon footprint. And we can also support you to give instructor-led training scenarios. By the help of our instructors, or even your instructors, you can create your own scenarios. It's really making these training and learning, especially over the simulation, much more cost-effective. One of the solutions we provide is also digital twin. It's much more easier to capture, scan the vessel, and create interactive training step by step. For familiarization, emergency response, even some companies require this to use during the emergency situations, to talk over the 3D plan and scan a digital twin of the vessel. We have also a competence management module in line with OCIM's behavioral-based competency assessment and verification. It's working together with our task management module, which means there are some defined tasks. You need to give this task to your officers, you need to review that, you need to give feedback, and then record it to the system that also defines the training needs that you can plan and close these gaps. This is one of the hottest topic, I can say. So for this topic, we have created an additional module that we call MT Care. In the MT Care, we have quarterly done general satisfaction surveys. These reports are confidential, so you will see the overall condition of the satisfaction level of the crew from your services. Also, we're making monthly physical, mental, and social pulse surveys for the crew. So in a dashboard, you will be seeing how happy they are. Or if something is going bad, the system will warn you to take action proactively. Also, mentoring and peer support is very important. We are also enabling companies to have training for that and to manage some projects for their crew. And finally, you need to capture this data, analyze it. So we are using BI tools for capturing and analyzing this data to create a decision support system for companies, and also a competence development system for individuals. Companies can see all the details, also the individuals. And finally, we have many other solutions. The system is working online, offline, and mobile, and the synchronization is made automatically by the end. And you can do also many reporting confidentially over our platform. These are some of the references that we are working at the moment and the locations that we have. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you very much. That's good. Always a pleasure. Okay, the next gentleman shows there are no age barriers. Pradeep.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be my first attempt from the other side of the table. I've always been coming to this forum and on behalf of Anglo-Eastern and as a buyer of training services. And this time around, I'm going to be a seller of training services. How did this all come about? Because I refused to retire completely. So I've retired from Anglo-Eastern after 31 years of looking after quality assurance and training, and then decided that I'm still too young, so why not do a startup? And it's a good story. So, okay, to be fair, what I have is already in use in Anglo-Eastern, so 32,000 people are using it. So let's kind of talk a bit generic first about why all of us have paid sponsorship money to be here and talk to you about it. The reality is, and I think most of you already know this, that the way we teach is a reflection of the society at that time. Socrates and Plato sat under a tree probably and gave wisdom to the students. And then we moved over to the blackboard generation, which some of us are. And then we moved on to kind of some PC-based education in the 1980s. I was out at sea already then. And then we came up with a little bit more of experiential learning, and schools and colleges built laboratories where you could actually do a lot of stuff. And by 2022, all these little tablets and mobile devices, etc., are common. But what is the real future? What we are doing today is just been appended by ChatGPT, right? We spent maybe 500 years of telling our children that accumulating knowledge in your mind is giving you the power. Knowledge is power. Technology has now made knowledge, accumulation of knowledge, no longer a business of universities and colleges. You just ask GPT. You want to know how to design a new motor, and you want ChatGPT to tell you all the existing motors and what are their pros and cons, 90 seconds you have your answer. So what exactly is going to happen in the future is actually going to evolve, and I think in 2 years' time in this forum, we will all be talking about how we have integrated artificial intelligence and ChatGPT kind of tools in the training in platforms that we are making. So my statement now is that this present, what we are doing is just already on the verge of becoming redundant because of the changes in technology. What is the future going to be like? People like Microsoft do a lot of studies. People like Google do a lot of studies because they take our data without us really wanting to give to them. Every app that we use, we are telling them how we behave, how we think. But what they are predicting is that by 2030, desks will have integrated screens, lessons will be created, shared, and experienced in the cloud, and homework will be done through digital applications. I think this is already happening. If you take an average good school in the UK today, the homework is assigned on the computer. Typically, they get them in year 6 or year 7. So this, what they predicted some years ago that would happen by 2030, in the top 10% of the schools worldwide is already happening. Children could visit historical sites, see the real geography of the planet. Not that the children want to do that, they really want to go on holiday with their parents. But that is also happening already. The interesting part is teachers already embrace the need for this shift, with 67% saying learning ought to be personalized. I know my good friend Ral has spoken in the morning about personalized and adaptive training. So all training providers who are good, and I think all of us who are on this sponsorship here are all good. We are all trying to do a good job with training. Everybody understands that this is the future. As someone implementing training solutions for 30 years, I take everything with a little bit of a pinch of salt, that not everything that technology tells us turns out to be true. There is a marriage between technology and human behavior, and the human behavior is the unpredictable part. So a lot of the systems that we generate for training, the challenge for the training manager always is, how do we properly implement it? And that is something that every training manager in the room, I think, will agree that that's their biggest challenge. So let's go further. Changes in social habits. If I ask each one of you to look at your watch time on your mobile phones, my guess is that people of my generation would be doing 4 to 5 hours a day, and the young cadets would be doing 7 to 8 hours a day. An average student in the US today spends 7 hours a day on their mobile phones as a minimum, and that too if they have tough parents. Otherwise, they're spending 17 hours a day on their mobile phones. They don't like reading books and circulars. That's a fact. I always tell people with younger children that if you have teenage children and you really want to get their attention, don't try and talk to them, because the only answer you will get is, okay, yeah, how was school? It was fine. But if you really need to ask them something, send them a text on the dining table. You might get a response. Span of attention. There was a King's College of London recently did a study. 47% of the UK population now says that our span of attention has reduced. No big discovery in our heads, we all know that, right? TED Talks was popular. Their people watching them now has reduced significantly. Because if anybody sends us even a joke or something of political nature or whatever that happens on school friends groups, right? They are the most useless things that in life on which we spend so much of our time on. Invariably, there would be things which people send on these groups. And if somebody sends something which is 20 minutes video, we are very unlikely to see it. But if it's a 1-minute video or a 2-minute video, the reason why TikTok is popular is it's usually very short. That becomes something that we absorb. And now whether we want to say we are learning or not learning, the fact is we are learning something from each and every media message that we open, whether that's on Instagram, WhatsApp, or Telegram, or whatever is the newest one that we think that the parents won't know about, the children think, so they switch from WhatsApp to Telegram and whatever. So we are learning through these mediums, and we know that everyone is getting hooked to technology of mobile phones. So at least my solution to that was, like many others here, why not teach safety using the technologies that everybody has got used to and everybody loves. Even if we don't love it, we have to use it, because that's the way the world works. So now the part about, I'm not going to give you hundreds of slides about what the platform is, because it's a huge one. So I've tried to put it all into one, and it's on the back of my card for those whom I've managed to meet. Marineflix, no secret, copied from Netflix, the name. But there's a reason, because what we have done is made our interface exactly the same as Netflix, and which, by the way, is a very expensive way to do it, because Netflix, before we started on this topic with the IT people, I didn't realize that how detailed is Netflix, and trying to get something similar is very expensive. So this is a set of micro-learning videos. Now, our philosophy is try and do everything within 5 minutes maximum. YouTube has done research recently that most people will decide in the first 7 seconds about the video, whether they want to see the video further or not, because there are millions of videos on the same subject on YouTube. So from the Anglo-Eastern seafarers, my research was that anything over 7 minutes is a no. So we have a library and it covers practically everything that a ship manager, ship owner needs. So emergency procedures, code of safe working practice, soft skills, mental health, well-being, basically any topic that you need to train on has been covered. And I don't say that we have a massive library, because I'm 16 weeks in this business. So we are presently at somewhere around 200 titles. And we also have a different way of doing things, in the sense that every video is first reviewed by a bunch of seafarers of Anglo-Eastern, and now a couple of other companies. And they tell us right away that, don't bother to send this when it's boring. Or this is great, but you should also add this. So there is a peer review process in place before it's released to the world. Marine Games is our attempt to do things in the gamification of learning. I have seen all my competitors around. A lot of people are doing something similar. So this is the problem of starting at age 66. Somebody's already done something before you, but then they've not done everything. So we've tried to combine things. So there's marine games as part of the portfolio. Virtual reality, when you take a demonstration for us, you will see that what we are doing is very different from any other provider. So let's keep a little mystery about that, because all my competitors want to know exactly what are we doing. But let's keep a little mystery about that. We use a slightly different methodology on how we create virtual reality programs. Marine Mentors is a mentoring, coaching, and mentoring platform. One of the things missing out at sea today is that, 3 minutes to go? Okay. So one of the problem is that there is no interaction between people. Everybody just heads to their cabin, opens their laptop, and that 10-minute challenge that the Nautical Institute book talked about doesn't happen. So this is a platform to encourage that. Digital record books, we are the only provider of digital record books with learning content for each and every task. No other training provider here has that so far. 30 master mariners were involved for the deck one, and about 30 engineers were involved for the engine rating. Surveys, we can conduct surveys like SurveyMonkey in your hand. Circulars can be sent individually to the seafarers so that we can track whether they opened them or not. Whether they read and implement is another matter. SMS manuals are all hosted so that each seafarer has the entire SMS with them. The online briefings that are done pre-joining is covered, and the BCAV, or technical competencies for ICMG, the Intertanko OCIMF competencies. No, they are Intertanko, they are not OCIMF. But the behavioral competency was a joint work with OCIMF and Intertanko. I was part of the group. So it covers all of that also. I hope I have time enough. No, I need to see how to click this. Can we go back on the previous one and click on the video, please? Tech support, please. Okay, this one is fine. So here, all I'm trying to say in this one is that in this kind of VR stuff that we do, the future is digital avatars inside that too. But
This is the
here,
collision
we are making
bulkhead.
the cadets go through the actual tank in the way, and this is not created in Unity. This is done in a different way. Can we go back on the previous one, please? Previous slide. Yeah, and can you try and click on the video play? This is to show you how, on the student. Try telling a cadet or a trainee seaman, don't go on deck during heavy weather. Think what this would do.
Monitor weather reports for heavy weather. Do not go out on deck during rough weather.
Simple message in microlearning, much more effective than telling somebody don't go on deck. And I think what will differentiate different companies would be the part about how the quality of content is done. Okay, gaming apps, we can skip that to say that it's kind of similar. You find defects, you fight against time, you look at the hazards in the game, kind of similar what everybody does. So this is the record book. That's how it looks like. The chief officers and second engineers always oblige you by signing it at the last minute without making sure that the cadet has done any training whatsoever for it, or whether they are actually competent. So what we've done is build the training content. Again, it includes videos, graphics, animations, etc., so that it's an engaging one. Give me half a minute more. And that's the coaching and mentoring platform. They can choose a mentor and connect with that mentor. And that's the last one on it. And I come from an accident prevention background, loss prevention. That's what I was doing for 31 years. And so, like I said, we all build more or less similar. Every other person speaking about training platforms has said the same thing. that we have VR and we have micro-learning and we have. So it's in the quality of content that we will all differ, and in the look and feel of the platform we will differ. Analytics, I have respect for Captain Ahmed. I know his work because I was on the buyer side before. So we all are doing something similar, and so what will differentiate us is the quality of the content and the quality of the look and feel of the analytics that we provide, and what innovations we can bring about in each of our platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pradeep. There is a forest of providers out there, and it's a challenge finding the right one meeting your needs, isn't it? Okay, I'd like to invite Martin up, and he'll tell us about one of the many things you do in Kongsberg, won't you?
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a presentation on autonomous shipping and how the simulator played a role throughout the development of the project Kongsberg Group has been part of. First, let me introduce you to these two electric, fully autonomous, remote-controlled vessels, Yara Birkeland and the Asko barge. The remote control center is located in Horten in Norway. It's operated by Massterly, a joint venture company between Wilhelmsen and Kongsberg Maritime. The development and testing, finding the correct applications, fine-tuning and perfecting the applications used on the remote control center and the vessel technology. The simulator played an important role, but it was crucial in verifying acceptance criteria set by the government. None of these vessels would be in operation today if it was not for verification and testing and use of simulator technology. Traditionally, the Kongsberg simulators are used for, and that's the majority of our customers, education and training of seafarers, maneuvering skills, navigational equipment and navigational skills. But we see more and more that it's also used as a tool for engineering projects, but also a tool for supporting real-life operations. We have a customer, Herema. They do heavy lifting operations, high-risk operations. They bring their whole crew into the simulator. They do training on the actual operation in the simulator. They write the procedures. They learn from their mistakes. They do retraining and update the procedures. When they have perfected it, when they know it is executable, then they go out in real life and perform the operation exactly the same way as they trained on in the simulator. Then they know it is executable. This of course, requires high fidelity on the simulated algorithms, hydrodynamics, mechanics, and physics. But it makes the simulator a perfect test bed environment for testing new technology like autonomous shipping. Our journey has been more an evolution than a revolution. Merging Rolls-Royce Marine into the Kongsberg Group, this really accelerated the development on autonomy. Both companies had the ambition to be lead on autonomous shipping. And it's not like we are starting from scratch. The Kongsberg Group has a long history on advanced technology, especially within sensors and cameras. We have also delivered remote control centers before. There's 12 airports in Norway remotely controlled from a control center in Bodø today. We have built on these commercial applications, this experience, like the Hugin ROV and also Navy applications, and based on that experience, perfected it, and was able to complete autonomous shipping for Yara Birkeland and the Asko barge. These are the commercial projects that we are involved in today. They are all electric, they are autonomous, and they are remotely controlled. We have the running vessels today, they have crew on board. They have crew on board in order to intervene, to take control of the vessel if the autonomous technology should not perform as intended, or the remote connection centers is not able to command the vessel. This is, of course, a safety precaution during the verification and certification of these vessels. And one by one, the crew will be taken off the vessels and let the vessel perform as it's intended. They don't intervene today. They are running autonomous and remotely controlled. It's a precaution. A very interesting project. It's the REACH subsea. That will be fully autonomous driven. It's also remotely controlled. The interesting thing with that project is that it's controlled by two remote control centers. One controlling the ROV and one controlling the vessel, collaborating together on two different geographical positions. One thing that is common for all of these vessels, but especially REACH subsea, is that it's reducing environmental emissions with 90% compared to a larger conventional subsea inspection vessel. And that is a driver for all autonomy, environmental effects reduction. To break the autonomous shipping down into four pillars, to better explain it, you have the vessel system existing of cameras and sensors, and then you have a cyber-secure connection. That can be there can be several carriers or different carriers on that connection. For coastal regions, it could be a 5G net. For deep sea, it could be a satellite link. If you, for some reason, has a limited bandwidth, there's a priority list on which data to prioritize to have sent. Then you have the remote operating centers. They are especially fitted with tailored applications in a user-friendly fashion, suiting the operator and presentation of information of the vessel and steering of the vessel. They also function as a legal entity of the vessel itself, with the captain being present and the chief engineer. All these vessels will have the ambition to be autonomous majority of the time, but if necessary, the remote control center can intervene and take control of the vessel to ensure safe navigation and operation. The simulators has been a test bed and will be a test bed for continuing development of autonomous shipping. It's also, the simulators will also be a tool for achieving class approval of these vessels, and it will be an important part of the decision-making process in runtime, in live operations, and of course training of operators in the remote control centers. We saw during the development that the simulator played an important role in influencing how the applications were perfected by introducing different environments, complex traffic situations, to to reach the edge cases in order to make the perfect user interface and perfect applications in the remote control center, but also on the vessels in regards to where the cameras should be placed, where sensors should be placed, in order for the algorithms to perform optimal, but also for the user, the operator, to have the best presentation in different weather scenarios. It also was used for machine learning of the AI. Autonomous shipping is new to the merchant segment, meaning that governmental legislations and regulations will need to be created in parallel to the ongoing autonomous development. It's also difficult to test an autonomous vessel in a one-week sea trial. You need simulators. That is what we have seen from the communication from the certification societies and government. They need simulators in order to test that the algorithms behave correctly in accordance to the rules of the road, but you need certain and very edge cases, difficult traffic situations in order to trigger all of the algorithms and test them. You also need to be able to see that the vessel is behaving correctly after an accident, after a collision. Should it, if the collision was unavoidable, should it drop anchor? Should it go to safe haven? Should it stay in position and assist in the search and rescue operation with giving camera feed to the coordination center? What is the correct behavior in that situation? The remote control centers are fitted with a digital twin of the vessel. That digital twin is updated with the sensor information, damage state, power bank, tanks, all states of the vessel is fed into the digital twin. And with simulation, you can then see if you're able to continue on the route in a damaged state, or if you or some other intervening circumstances, or if you need to abort the route or make a new route. Training of the operators is extensive. Well, will be necessary to do simulation in order to reach those same edge cases. I wanted to show you a video and from the project that we have participated in, which is the EU-funded Horizon 2020 project with the ambition of autonomous shipping in the coastal region of Norway and the inland waterways in Antwerpen and Flemish. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Martin. It's det er skikkelig stilig.
It is very interesting and very exciting.
Okay. We're then to the fifth presenter before lunch. You're holding us back from lunch, David. No, you're not.
Thank you very much, sir. No pressure then.
Yeah.
Okay, howdy, folks. Nice to be back here. George Hoyts told me that it's Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody. George, no, I am not going to deliver a turkey. So, we're talking about safety, and I'd just like to share with you some thoughts on a different way to look at safety that we're starting to use at the Nautical Institute. I'm not going to take credit for this approach because I didn't invent it. It's just something that we're starting to use. Some people have referred to this as Safety 1 and Safety 2. It's used quite often in the medical industry, in the nuclear industry, and it's a way of focusing on what goes right rather than what goes wrong. Speaking of what goes wrong, where's the clicker? So, shipping is safe and good. I hope you all appreciate that. You're all part of it. The vast number of all our voyages go well. 99.99 something percent go well. We should be really proud of that. We should be happy about that. Yeah, we still have a few problems, and that's why we're here discussing them. But I think we got to be very careful, particularly when we're in public, and there are non-shipping people there, to emphasize how good shipping is. And I don't care how you measure it. This graph comes from the Alliance report, shows total losses going down by the year. How do we get that safe? Well, we got a lot of mechanisms in place. We have surveys by class, flag, charter. I don't have to go through all those with you. But we do put a lot of emphasis on learning from mistakes. And we all know the classic diagram there, and there's science behind it. We have the accident investigation reports. We have internal ISM reports so that when something does go wrong, you have an internal report, you learn your lesson. We have the Nautical Institute runs a program called MARS, the Marine Accident Reports that we'll talk about. And it's all about learning from what went wrong. The question is, do we learn about what went right? So this whole learning about what went wrong is, in some circles, referred to as Safety 1. But, as we said, a lot of things go right. So who isn't having accidents? What schools produce the best cadets? Who are the best flags, class, etc.? Who are the best maritime professionals that you hire? And how do they become that way, and why do they become good? So, when we talk about Safety 2, I'm sorry this isn't very bright, but it's about, here's the comparison. Safety 1, you learn from errors. Safety 2, you learn from success. Safety 1, safety is defined by the absence. We don't have accidents, therefore we're safe. In Safety 2, safety is defined by the presence. We do have good procedures. We do have good training. We do have good people. The reactive approach versus a proactive approach, understanding what goes wrong or understanding what goes right. My gosh, we had a good voyage. Nothing went wrong. Right. Let's figure out what went right there. Accident causations versus repeat what goes right. Rather than trying to prevent an accident, let's just, if we're not having accidents, let's focus on why we're not having accidents and carry on. So you get the picture. So again, when we're looking at the difference between Safety 1 and Safety 2. Now, look, you might say this is not rocket science. And it isn't. It's just a little bit different way of thinking. So rather than a retrospective review of the subjects are hindsight biased. You start to think about, could that happen again? Naming, blaming, and shaming, societal pressure to assign accountability to the individuals. You see the bad, but you're blind to the good. All these sort of things are the difference, and it takes a little bit of thinking about to start thinking differently. So I'm going to give you just a few happy examples to illustrate how this is changing the way we're thinking at the Nautical Institute. So back in about 1985, well, Pradeep will remember, nobody else, we developed the Mars program, and that was because back then, and this is well pre-ISM, some of our members were concerned that nobody was learning the lessons. We had a near miss, or worse yet, we had an accident, but who's learning from that? So we started this. It's a confidential accident reporting scheme. There are thousands of reports now. They're all online, free. Feel free to use it. But I've been reading these reports for about 30 years. Even when I was at sea, I was reading these reports. And back in the 80s, a classic report was about Colregs. You should have seen what that idiot did. But now I've seen a real change, particularly after ISM came in, because there's more of a methodology. So now the typical report says, this is what happened, this is the incident, this is what went right. Okay, this is what went wrong, and these are the lessons learned. But, somebody fell over. That was a problem. There was oil on the deck. That's what went wrong. But what went right? Somebody reported it. First aid. You had telemedicine. You had all these things that went right. And it's important that we keep focusing on that. So this report is just one I picked out in random. Quick action helps avoid grounding. What a brilliant thing. Something went right. There was a steering failure. The crew were so familiar with the system that they went to the backup steering and they averted a problem. That's what went right. Some years ago, I was very honored to be asked to be part of a judging panel for a Shipmaster of the Year award. And it was a great opportunity. But we're reading all these reports that were submitted by shipping companies saying, this master is worthy of the Shipmaster of the Year award. And they were all fantastic. But one really caught my eye. And unfortunately, he didn't win. I argued as much as I could. But it was just a couple lines of text that said, this guy has been sailing for 40 years, 25 years in command, 10 of those of one of the biggest tankers in the world. He has never had a single significant issue. To me, that screams success. That's 25 years of good decisions, 25 years of looking after the crew, 25 years of maintenance, 25 years of brilliant risk assessment. Wow, that we should learn from. Some years ago, the Nautical Institute started focusing on onboard assessments, particularly with the navigation assessments. We now have broadened that out. But we kept thinking, well, we've had decades of bridge resource management training. So why do all these accident reports keep saying failure to communicate, failure of BRM? And one of the answers that we came up with, we talked to a lot of our people who are investigators and sailors, et cetera, trainers, and they said, yeah, well, they come in, they do the BRM course, they pass on a Friday, they take a month's leave, go back to the ship, and if what they learned isn't in use on board, it just goes by the wayside. The culture isn't there on board. And we said, well, what's the answer to that? And they said, well, the answer is an onboard assessment. Not an onboard half-an-hour audit, but somebody riding the ship for 4 or 5 days. A trained master, a trained chief engineer. And they should just sit there and watch and be part of it and look and listen. And that way they can see what's being used. They can identify the culture on board, and they can try to help it. And this is still very much what good looks like. And we have a training course, and we do not train how to navigate. You're a master, you know how to navigate. But do you have the soft skills to go on board somebody else's ship and watch and say to the captain, yeah, do you know there's a slightly better way of doing that? Or to say to the captain, I see you're slightly different from the ISM, from your SMS. Why is that? Well, because the SMS is rubbish. Let me take that back to the company and get that changed. So it's a way of learning, and it's not a policing method, it's a mentoring method, and this is what we try to do. And we've written we've done an issue of the Navigator specifically about that. And it's free online if you want to download it. And my colleague, Samaya, raise your hand, Samaya. She's got some extra copies if you're interested. But it talks about this process of mentoring on board throughout the fleet and identifying what good looks like. We also look at error management. Again, why are ships not having accidents? And a lot of the reason is not because their people are absolutely faultless. It's because they have processes in so that when a natural human makes a natural mistake, it's caught. The error is managed. It does not go on to be a circumstance. Now, I come from the deck side of things, so a perfect example in this would be, and I get this a lot from young people, they say, oh, you talk about bridge team management. Well, I'm the only one on the bridge. What kind of management? How do I manage that team? But you're not. You may be on the bridge alone, but you have things around you. You have electronics that might help you catch things. You can call the master. You can call an extra lookout. You have these things, and it's about error management. You know, when you get nervous, you call the master because that helps prevent something happening. That's error management. That's what good looks like. So if you have a ship that's doing very well, that's not having incidents, have a look at it. How are they managing it? How are they being trained? Find out what the good looks like. Don't wait for an accident to happen. Just a brief one. We're involved in an EU-funded project called Ocean. There's the web address. You can go on it. It's just started, and hopefully I'll come back maybe in another year or so and tell you how it ended up. But it's about using operator-centered enhancement of awareness of navigation. But in this project, we're very much focused on what does good look like. We're doing interviews with seafarers. We're doing interviews with training centers. And we're saying, what do you have? Who's the best training centers? Where are they? And why are they good? And what makes them good? So hopefully we'll be able to report some of that in the near future. Now, we've all heard over the last few days that we're in a period of unprecedented rapid change. Technology, that some of it's been talked about, AI, AR, VR, data management. There's going to be a lot of human element. I love the fact that so many people have referred to the human element. We talked about connected environments, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody's saying, yes, we're reviewing the STCW, but the fact is that that's not going to be implemented till well into the 30s. Everything's changing rapidly, and we're entering a period where we must have continuous professional development. And of course, the Nautical Institute is an organization for that. But during that period of change, when we're doing personal development, professional development, we must keep an eye out for what good looks like. Let's not wait till we figure out where all the mistakes are being made. Let's not wait for the next generation of maritime accidents based on this evolving technology. Let's try to figure out who's implementing it well, who's using it well. And we've just had all those examples of this wonderful new types of training. Let's look at what's going right, and let's learn from that rather than wait till we find out what's wrong. Now, just interesting, the World Maritime University, funded by the ITF, have just published a report, The Impact of Technology on Seafarers. And it's a fantastic report. Beautiful graphics of a roadmap of all the new technology that's going to come out up to 2040. It is a free publication, and we are doing a free, my timer. We're doing a free webinar on it, and you got little QR codes on some of your tables. If you want to attend, you're more than welcome. Absolutely free. And so, in conclusion, continue looking at the good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. Learning from our success. I think we're downgrading us too many times in this industry when we're actually doing a lot of good. And we should be proud when we promote our industry because we are doing a lot of good. So at least the 5 past presenters have given us a variation, but I've taken one thing with me that Basu came with, and that is, involve me and I will learn. That's my takeaway from this. Look at your sailors, involve them, and they will learn. Okay, have a nice lunch. 1:45, well, 1:45, we will start again, and then Tommy will be back. We hope. This night.